He has some real vulnerabilities. Why do you think he is struggling against former President Donald Trump, someone who's been indicted 4 times and who's now been slapped with this $83 million civil suit?
Well, I think we can take a look at the overall landscape here. It's not just what we're talking about with President Biden, but former President Trump also has extraordinary vulnerabilities. We saw that in New Hampshire. The fact that he is a former sitting president, head of his party, virtually everyone else has dropped out and endorsed him. And still, as we just saw, Nikki Haley came, she cleared about 43% in New Hampshire, bodes very not well for Donald Trump and his ability to win a general election. When it comes to President Biden, I think we need to really focus and understand that young people are a very strong part of this electorate. We have a diverse coalition in the Democratic Party that has its own concerns, whether it is what's happening in Gaza or any other number of issues. But right now, I think November is going to be about the coalition we can put together and the policy progress we can make between now and then.
And do you think President Biden is the strongest person to take on former President Trump, given everything you've just said, Congresswoman?
I think what we have right now, what we've seen in New Hampshire, he is virtually the nominee of the party. His turnout in New Hampshire is actually not something to ignore. We saw from a write-in campaign, remember, President Biden wasn't even on the ballot in New Hampshire. He won overwhelmingly with turnout that even exceeded Obama 2012 turnout when Obama was on the ballot. And so there are quite a few indicators in his strength in New Hampshire. We will see what happens in South Carolina and, of course, when we get to important primaries like Michigan.
So, and just to be clear, though, do you think the president's the strongest person to take on Mr. Trump if he is the nominee? It's still an if.
Yes, and I mean, especially when we look at this field, we have, Dean Phillips and Marianne Williamson. President Biden, I think without question, among that field is the strongest nominee.